Good morning, everyone. Looks like, hey, Ron, you've read pretty much most of my slides since most of what you covered in your introduction was something that I was also planning to cover. So it's going to be exciting, very much in line with what Ron has said, and I'll walk you through what Amazon Web Services have done to help you to get there. So my name is Binu Pezor. I am a senior solutions architect at Amazon Web Services, been with AWS for a little more than 5 years, based out of Houston, Texas. I primarily serve education technology customers. I was planning to go meet with Ron this morning, but then the weather was a little too cold and maybe I should just do it from home. So I got a little lazy there. But next event, I'll for sure, plan to make it since Houston don't get cold like this always. So with that said, let me walk you through, some of what we are seeing. Now, like Ron was saying, I'm pretty sure everyone here, by now understands, or at least have heard about generative AI and how it's taking the world by a storm, right? I mean, anywhere you go, whoever you talk to, it will be all about Gen AI. So now it's been, I would say, the last 6 months or so, or close to a year. So now, the world is moving beyond pure experimentation, and they're trying to bring some of their AI and Gen AI application into their production work stream to really scale and transform the companies and the work they do. What one thing that we see is as they do that, data becomes the biggest differentiator, to make sure to basically to ensure that, all the workloads that you're building is successful since, whatever prediction that you're making, whatever, analytics that you're performing, it's all based on the data or the underlying data. So at Amazon Web Services, we tend to think Gen AI applications basically as a new set of application type that sits on your existing data foundation. So this means that you want to plug in your existing data sources like data lake, operational databases, or you might have warehouses, or even external data source that you might have the data stored somewhere else. So you want to plug that all into your generative AI application. So I mean, they don't want to really create a new relational data architecture for what is called, this new application set, right? And that's a lot of work. They really want to leverage and extend their existing data architecture. And something like, Ron was saying, something that we see nowadays is the way the data workers and application developers are interacting. The line obviously seems to be blurring between their job responsibilities and this is enabling simpler and faster experiences, all while adhering to the governance rule and data and the privacy requirements that the customers might have. So some things that we see and hear from our customers is, they're telling us that over the last many months, they're seeing their analytics and data AI workloads increasingly converge around a lot of same data. So, be it for their analytic purpose or be it for the AI use cases, use pretty much the same data and the same workflows. They aren't using analytics and AI tools in isolation anymore. They use the historical data, that they have to train the machine learning models, and they're also increasingly using the same data when they incorporate Gen AI applications, Gen AI into their application. So you can see how data is shared or leveraged between the two platforms. Like, we also see the data roles, like I mentioned earlier, the data analysts, the data scientists, data engineers, and the application developers, they have to now collaborate a lot more seamlessly. They're working in a world where data, analytics, and AI boundaries are really blurring, and the time to gain insight is becoming more and more crucial. At the same time, as many of you might know or have seen, I mean, this is something that is pretty common with a lot of customers that I work with too. As to the data, is spread they have different systems to maintain the data. For example, data lake, data warehouses, different applications that might have their own data stores. And customers really want to unlock the full potential of their data. But when this data is stored across data sources, different data sources in the company, and distributed, it gets really challenging to get to the right data at the right time. It also adds the cost and complexity to manage them since they're all in different places, right? So being able to bring them together. Some customers that we've seen, they also have multiple governance model with duplicated data access controls, which are mostly expensive to keep in sync. And this really slows down their ability to deliver analytics in a timely manner. Since if I have to get access to a data store sitting within a third-party application, if I have to bring that into my analytics, there's a lot of security things and pipelines that you have to build. So it really slows down your effort to get to perform those analytics. So, and as you might all know, AWS has the broadest and deepest set of purpose-built analytics and AI ML tools that span a wide range of workloads with best-in-class price performance and scale. This will enable customers to select the right tool for the right job. So to address some of the challenges that we mentioned about earlier, we are taking Amazon SageMaker. I don't know how many of you might be using SageMaker already, but it's used by hundreds and thousands of customers already today to build, train, and deploy machine learning models. And we are expanding it by integrating the most comprehensive set of data, analytics, and AI tools. So that basically takes you to the next generation of Amazon SageMaker, which is your center for data, analytics, and AI. So this all new SageMaker includes virtually all the components that you will need to do your SQL analytics or data processing, search requirements, data preparation and integration, AI model development and training, and building generative AI applications, all from a central place with a single view into your enterprise data. So what is this next generation of SageMaker? So this next generation of Amazon SageMaker, you have a unified platform for data, analytics, and AI all from one place. This will enable you to collaborate and build faster from this unified studio using the familiar AWS tools for more, that you might already be using for model development, generative AI, data processing, SQL analytics. This is all accelerated by Amazon Q Developer, which is, again, I don't know how many of you have played with Amazon Q Developer. This is the most capable generative AI assistant for software development. And just from my own personal experience, I've been trying to build this little app. I would say for the last 6 months or so, every time I run into a blocker, I abandon it. But this time I decided to use Amazon Q. I'm not kidding. Within a week, I was able to get the application up and running. So I don't need to be a React expert anymore. I can just instruct the IDE to say, I need, hey, write me a code which can do this. Boom, it will generate the entire code. So your software developers can be productive. And this is also integrated into your Amazon SageMaker Studio. So you can get all this tasks done just by natural language interface. You can also reduce the silos that we talked about with the open lakehouse architecture. With the lakehouse, you can access all your data, whether it's stored in your data lake or data warehouse or in a third-party application or even in federated data sources. In addition, security is the number one thing for us. So governance is built in end-to-end for all your data and AI initiatives to help you meet your enterprise security needs. So let's dive a little more deeper. So the Amazon SageMaker is a platform that I said brings together all your favorite services and tools into a unified experience through this unified studio with unified data access through the lakehouse and end-to-end governance built in for your data and AI. So as you can see, rather than having to split between Glue or Athena or EMR or Redshift or Bedrock, to perform your different function, we just brought them all together in one place. So now you don't have to switch screens or tabs to get access to those services to perform your functions. So let me first take you through the unified development experience, the Amazon SageMaker Unified Studio. So it is in public preview today, which means that all of you can have access. If you have access to AWS Management Console, you can access the SageMaker Unified Studio and play with it. Like I said, SageMaker Unified Studio offers an integrated experience for data preparation. So you can prepare your data, you can build your model, you can build your generative AI application all from one place. It will unify all your tools, such as notebooks, the Jupyter notebooks, or your query editing service like Athena or Glue into a single place. Now you have access to all of those from this one central location. It also integrates seamlessly with your data processing, analytics, and machine learning services like AEMR, Glue, Athena, Redshift, and Bedrock. So again, the power of bringing it all together into your fingertips in one place, which means that you're not learning anything new, but you're just basically playing with the same tools that you might have been using without having to go through that learning curve. And we are also planning to support streaming, search, and BI services sometime this year. So that will make this pretty much a full suite for any of your data AI or analytics and reporting needs. So as you can see, in a single view for your data and AI development environment. So it could be you can see that as an entry point to Amazon SageMaker, giving your users a single place to access all the tools that they will need to get their job done. Most of you, I'm sure, here today should be familiar with SQL editors in Redshift or Athena, the Jupyter Notebook experience that you might have seen in Glue Studio or EMR Studio, and the existing SageMaker Studio. So all these toolings are now unified in the SageMaker platform. So which means you can now get one consistent notebook experience and query editing experience. And this spans across all the services from this single central UI. But then, when you might be thinking, so what happens to SageMaker? So the next generation of SageMaker still includes all the existing AI capabilities that you might have already worked with, like data wrangling or human in the loop, for data labeling with ground truth, experiments, ML ops, and hyperport managed distributed training. So this is all going to be there. Going forward, we will refer to this capabilities as SageMaker AI, and we will of course, continue to innovate and expand upon this capabilities to ensure that the new SageMaker remains the best place to build for you to build, train, and deploy your AI models. But now in this new SageMaker Unified Studio, you can create shared projects that include AI, analytics, artifacts such as notebooks or models that will allow your data scientists, analysts, and machine learning experts to easily collaborate. So once you create a project in your SageMaker Studio, you can invite your users or data scientists or application developers into that project. Now they can work with the same set of data, building analytic dashboard, preparing your data. So it's a console experience where they don't need to have AWS Management Console access anymore, but they'll be send a URL from where they can experience this Amazon SageMaker Unified Studio and play with what they have access to. This is all. So there will be an administrator who will decide what kind of access does his users have and to what projects do they have access to. So when they sign into that console, they will only be able to see what they have given access to. So all of this job done, right? So once they have access to that platform, now for them to perform data analytics or even to build Gen AI application, now they have the Amazon Q developer integrated into that studio, which means now they can easily discover their data. They can build and train machine learning models and generate SQL queries and even more just by using natural language, right? So you don't need to be digging around, but you just ask, where can I find this information? And boom, it will bring you give the recommendation. This table in this database will have the information that you will need. Okay, can you write me a query where I can do this? And Q developer will now generate that SQL query. So now you can perform your analytics, or even if it's about building a machine AI application, now all a lot more easier with this Q developer that is integrated with the studio. Okay, so we touched briefly on that SageMaker Lakehouse. So the purpose of Lakehouse is it really unifies your data across multiple data sources for analytics and AI initiatives, which means that with a single copy of data, regardless of where the data is stored, right? You're not trying to build pipelines or move the data into a central lakehouse or warehouse, but you use this lakehouse to connect the data from where you are, where the data resides. That way, you don't have to worry about having to build all this extensive ETL or pipelines. It will also apply the open architecture, which will allow you to bring in your most favorite, like your Apache Iceberg compatible tools and engines, which will provide you the flexibility to use SQL or Spark based tools to collaborate with this data the way you like it, right? And then with the governance built into it, we use with the Lakehouse fine-grained access. You can control the permissions of who can see which table or what kind of data based on tables, columns, or even labels that you might have given to those fields. So, I mean, I don't need to repeat this, but customers use data warehouses for their ACID transactions and performance requirements. And while they use data lakes for their openness and flexibility to use with various sources, analytics engines. And as the companies grow, the data also grows rapidly, right? And then they see the data coming in from all the different sources and landing in either data lake or data warehouses. And then this requires data movement to bring the data into the warehouse or into the lakehouse or vice versa. This will get data getting duplicated. And it's also not quite easy to build these pipelines to move data back and forth. So AWS had been on a journey of integration between its services to make data available where it needs to be for performing your analytics. So you might have seen Amazon Redshift has a data lake querying capability, which means your Redshift can directly reach into your data lake to perform its analytics or reporting capability or reporting functions. Likewise, and it has also introduced like big bespoke connectors that can enable engines like EMR or SageMaker directly query Redshift data. So now you can even get access to your data sitting in Redshift without having to get them out into your data lake. I don't know how many of you heard, but we have something called a zero ETL that was released not too long ago. This will enable you to integrate with your operational data sources like Aurora, which means that it will make the data in Aurora available near real time in your Redshift data warehouses, which means that you don't have to now build any more pipelines to build that data into Redshift from Aurora or vice versa, right? So the zero ETL will just enable you with that one-click setup to enable that data available in your Redshift data source. So we touched on most of this. We out to the So your with the SageMaker Lakehouse, your data in your S3 bucket and your Redshift is unified through a single copy of data. So that means you're not duplicate. You can just may leave your data in S3 and still have access to your Redshift data. You still have access, combine that with your Redshift data for analytics through this Lakehouse. The Lakehouse is really built on AWS Glue, data catalog, and lake formation. So again, if you've used that before, you'll know that this will allow you to perform that granular level of access and connecting to those external sources to bring them together. Some of the operation data from the operational data sources like Aurora, RDS, DynamoDB is also available in Lakehouse, which means that you can connect them and bring them into your Lakehouse. The zero ETL that I talked about will also enable you, all, in addition to Aurora, some of the third-party applications like Salesforce, SAP, ServiceNow, to bring all that data also into your Lakehouse. So again, Lakehouse is it is interoperable and secure, which means that you're empowered to bring your preferred Apache Iceberg compatible tool or engine, be it Jupyter Notebook or analytic engine such as Redshift, or EMR or Bedrock API, all to tap into your data. And the theory to this Lighthouse architecture is the fine-grained access control, which means your data is that is reflected across. So once you've given the control permissions, that permission is maintained across a different plethora of tools that you use, which means you don't have to set up controls within Bedrock and then go back and do the similar controls in a Glue, Athena, or EMR. So you just do it in one place, and then all service that you use through the SageMaker Unified Studio, those controls will be applied, which means you manage them in one central place. From the unified SageMaker Studio, you can also access all your data in the Lakehouse, including the data brought into the Glue data catalog or Redshift catalog through zero ETL or through federated sources from such as Snowflake or BigQuery or MySQL and others all in a single view, which just imagine the power. So you have now, you're just connecting to all these data sources from this one data catalog in Amazon SageMaker, which will now enable your data scientists to get access to the data that they have privileged access to, and now they can build their analytics reporting or MI or AI applications with it, all from one place. So we touched on this governance. So governance is built into the SageMaker Unified Studio experience end to end, which means it's about simplifying your discovery and collaboration for data and AI across your Lakehouse AI models and application, all from a single control, right? So your user who's been given, you can control what the user can have access to, and that will enable them to perform any of these functions from that central place by making your governance function a lot more easier. I know I've been doing a lot of talking, and again, it's a very exciting service that was released during our last re:Invent, and we're seeing a lot of interest from our customers from looking at this Amazon SageMaker Unified Studio to be able to simplify some of their analytics and reporting and AI application development easier. So with the SageMaker data and AI governance, this is basically you can discover your data and AI asset at scale with this SageMaker catalog that is part of the SageMaker Studio, which is basically built on Amazon Data Zone. So you can enhance discovery with your generative AI to automatically enrich your data and metadata with business context, thus making it easy for users to find it, right? So with some raw data, sometimes it will be really difficult. So you can enhance it by using this Gen AI capabilities, by adding this metadata. Now for your non-technical users, it will get a lot more easier for them to discover that data that they need from that data lakehouse. It will also let you share your data with your users. You can also share AI models. So, some customers or companies, they don't want to share all the models, since, they want to have some controls for what models can the users use. So they can share which model do I want my users to play with. They can also build prompts, right? So for example, if you already have a prompt that you said, okay, can be used for this business function, since prompt engineering is also an art. So once you build the prompt, now you can share that prompt with your users, so they don't have to rebuild it or recreate it to build their Gen AI applications or products. Um, and then it can also recommend the columns that are relevant to your application analytics for each data set, which is powered by Amazon Q. So you will get more insight into some of the data without having to do a lot of digging and research. Hey Ron, if I'm not watching the chat, but if I'm running close to 10, just give me a heads up, okay? I know I might have.
Hey, Benu, we have a
Yeah.
couple of minutes. One of the things, I'm going to try and keep this interactive. Let's see if we can make this work. I'm going to ask David Smith, who had a more detailed question. We've got about 5 minutes left. David, is your mic on? If it is, can you ask your question? I'll summarize it.
Sure. If you can hear me.
Yep.
No, this all sounds really good. I joined a few minutes late, but we're using SageMaker and a number of other services. We've been looking at kind of the Lakehouse model for some of our work as well. But we're in a federal moderate accredited environment, so anything that you guys are rolling out,
David, would you mind just telling everyone where you work in your company and your role?
I work for US EPA.
Okay, great.
And
So
so,
David,
one of the
great question.
is
Moderate. Sorry. Yeah, I was just trying to say, great question, David. So this is something that many of our customers were asking too. So like I was saying, so SageMaker Unified Studio is essentially bringing in the SageMaker experience, the Bedrock experience, the ETL Glue experience, all into a single place, a central place, which means that this is not a new service, but if you're in the data zone, the Lakehouse architecture, those, I believe they're all FedRAMP or certified. So since that we're reusing and leveraging the same services under the hood, it will provide you the same level of security that you're used to without having to worry about new governance or new controls. So it provides you the built-in capabilities.
Hey, David, why don't you finish up anew? What I'll also do is make a point of connecting Benu with the federal team at AWS to ensure that you've got the right resources to answer that specific question.
Certainly.
Yeah,
anytime.
That's Blaise Stefaniak at AWS is who we've mostly been working with.
Say that again, David, I didn't get that.
Good.
Blaise, Blaise Stefaniak, I believe.
Yeah, I think I remember him, yes.
Okay. Yep. Why don't we do this? If I could, David, I'm going to ask Benu if you could start summarizing. And David, why don't you just put in the chat message to me your AWS contact so I can make sure I follow up appropriately.
Sure thing.
Yeah, if you have any questions, Ron should have, if you need to connect with anyone in AWS, just let Ron know. We can help you connect with and help you to dive into this, maybe set up a hands-on workshop, any of those, right? So the whole idea is to make sure you are aware of the service so that you can get more productive. So this is one screen. So one of the things that I've heard when working with customers is, when working with Snowflake, they have this UI where the users can sign in. They don't need to know AWS console. The non-technical users will have access to all their data. Now they can build their own analytics. So at that time, Redshift did not have all those capabilities. The users still have to go to AWS console. Now with this Amazon SageMaker Unified Studio, you have that power now, right? Your administrator now can invite your users into the studio. They can say what project do they have access to. They can now collaborate, and now they can build in analytics. They can build AI reporting, Gen AI applications. They can build prompts, share that with other users. So it really brings you together. So now you can perform your SQL queries against those plethora of databases that we brought together to the data catalog through this lakehouse, through the control that you already have put in place for the users, and also be able to build Gen AI application, which you can publish now through here. So if you have non-technical users who want to perform some function, now they will have access to this application, Gen AI application, to perform their job functions, again, based on the guardrails that you have set while building that app, all from one place. So it's very exciting. It brings everything together, and you can see your productivity and time to market really increasing. So productivity increasing and time to market reducing. So I mean, I guess that should summarize. I don't want to go too deep, but that should summarize the high level. But if you feel like you want to dive deep, yeah, just let us know. We'll be more than happy to set up more hands-on deep dive sessions.